And if you take her seriously, guys, I don't know. You need a little bit of help. It's to me. I've just gotten to the point where it's just a distraction. Hey, folks, Robert Imbrielli here. Thank you so much for joining us. A little bit of a different show today. I know for those of you on the SBG channel, you're expecting Lewis and the gang, and we're doing something a little bit different today. Lewis may join us, actually. I've left the machine on so he can pop in and join us. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to talk a little bit about the news today, some of the craziness that's going on out there. I know you all want to know that. And then my new co-host, today's co-host, and I will talk a little bit about how do you navigate it from an emotional perspective, because I know a lot of people, my phone's been ringing off the hook with the stock market going up and down. People are going, what in the world is going on, Rob? What can we do? So we're going to talk about that because my co-host today does a show called Mindset Mondays on his channel, Unpopular Viewpoint. If you haven't seen it, you got to go watch it. Bruce Poppy joins us. Bruce, how are you, my friend?
Greetings and salutations, Robert. Man, that cold open, I tell you, it's a big problem. Inflation. We need to be unburdened by what has been, right? The word salad. I mean, that's all I got.
So when you look at that, you have to get to the point where you realize it's a circus, right? So it can't be serious because nothing serious would look anything like that. So that's why I say this is just a distraction. And it's kind of funny. I look at it now as a comedy routine, kind of like an SNL skit, it's because it kind of has that feeling, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it does. Yeah, I've said for a while now, even reading some of the headlines, it's like reading the Sunday comic strip. Once you get awake, the veil has been pulled back to a certain extent. You just see this stuff and you just shake your head. And the scary thing is there's people that buy that stuff that are still hook, line, and sinker, man. That the camel toe is the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's unbelievable. Talk about a banana republic. I don't know. It's comical, like you said.
At this point, it has to be. I mean, you could take it seriously, and then you could look at her VP pick, and you could look at all of this, and we can go deep and talk about all the things, right? And how far left everything is, and how much, just her unburdened comments. That's a Marxist belief. Unburdened from the past means, hey, we're no longer going to look at the past, our heritage, our tradition. Forget all of that. We've got a new utopia for you, and that's where we're going to focus. So forgetting that's why they get rid of all the statues. That's why they get rid of, reading about the Constitution in school. They get rid of all the religion in school. They get rid of Pledge Allegiance. They do all this stuff to erase the past so that they can rewrite a new future. And if you think about our future generations, they will not know our heritage. Actually, many in the millennial and Gen Z don't know anything about our history because they never learned it in school. Now, I have an excuse. I didn't go to school in this country. I went to school in Canada. So I know about the Iroquois, and I know about Mount Royal, and I know about all of that. That's different, right? So I got an excuse for it, but I didn't go to school here in America. But, if you look at it now, what they're not teaching that, the kids don't have any idea of the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, right? They don't know how we broke away, how did we get the Bill of Rights, how did we get the Constitution, all of that. I mean, if that's not being taught, how could they have respect for it?
Right, and they're getting rid of all the books, the printed stuff, the real stuff, in favor of digital, and that way they can erase and change things, as they go and on the fly. There's no Civil War. Now, I don't know. I'm just guessing. This is my viewpoint, unpopular as it might be. I'm just surmising that the Civil War is just going to be some evil white people wanting to have. So these people, they don't understand. They're being fed a line of crap, and that's why. It's so important to get education to we have to learn ourselves because we're not being taught. Society is supposed to teach us back way back in the day was from mouth to mouth, generation to generation. They passed down the stories and the history and all this stuff, and it's a cyclical thing too. I mean, there's some people you can go into an argument about that we're repeating history. And if we don't learn our history, we're going to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. I mean, that's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And, so unless we learn from the past, we can't make a better future. We cannot be unburdened by the things that have been done.
I know. I know you guys are looking at Bruce and saying he's very young, but he actually has grandkids and they're in school. And I want to ask Bruce about what they're learning about American history, because you have these conversations with them clearly because this is your passion too. And what's your exposure? What's your experience with them?
Well, the good news is on two of my 7 grandchildren, some of them are not old enough to be in school yet, but 2 of them, they're homeschooled, and my son and his wife are very awake. My daughter and my one of my grandsons go to a charter school.
Oh, good.
They're getting some better stuff, but it's still messed up. I mean, quite honestly, even in a charter school, that my granddaughter has been exposed to the whole bunch of LGBTQ stuff, and she's even made comments that she's like 12, 13 years old, that she's she thinks she's a lesbian, and where does this stuff come from? So even my grandson made some comments. I'm like, where did you learn that? So the public schools are completely useless in their current form and iteration. What we need to do, this is just my viewpoint, unpopular as it might be, is going back to the more community-based stuff. Even DeSantis, I think recently I was reading something, I didn't get the details, but they were talking about like these different, instead of a public school, like a pod thing or little independent co-op, where it's more community-based, more local-based. Department of Education for the federal government is completely useless, needs to go away. It's just a cash drain. Same thing with the teachers union. They're as evil as the day is long. And so, we need to, if you have people watching this, still has kids in public school, I feel for you, but you can homeschool. There are options, co-op, double, doing duty. I mean, you can share the burden, and there's tons of easy curriculum out there. We homeschooled our kids, my 4 kids, almost all the way up through high school. And so, they all turned out fantastic, knock on wood. So, so I'm real happy. That's why I just don't believe in the public school system. I mean, look at how many times you've heard, politicians and people in public office type say, we're like 20, 30 hours. Eric Trump was talking at the convention. We're like down towards the bottom of the barrel when it comes to education and learning and technology for kids in school today. We're like in the lower 20 or upper 20s, low 30s as far as ranking in the world. And that just shouldn't be.
There's an interesting thing that popped up. I'm looking at my feed right now. this I can't even read this with a straight face. This is so crazy. Here we are. Breaking. Trump says he's hearing big movement to bring back Crooked Joe as a Democrat nominee. What now?
Who's breaking that garbage?
Yeah. I don't know. It can't get any crazier, can it? Or can it?
It wouldn't surprise me at this point. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if Obama says, F it, I've been the one in charge all along. I'm going to continue to run this country. That's if.
By Kamala Barack Hussein Obama, crazy Nancy Pelosi, shifty Adam Schiff, crying Chuck Schumer, and others on the lunatic left crashes the Democrat National Convention and tries to take back the nomination, beginning with challenging me to another debate. He feels that he made a historically tragic mistake by handing over the U.S. presidency, a coup to the people in this world he hates the most. And he wants it back, and he wants it back now. Okay, so there's truth to that tweet then.
Yeah. So this is, if I'm reading this properly, so this is Joe on his own wanting to give the big middle finger and stick Barack, Pelosi, Shifty Schiff, and Chuck Schumer, because they're the ones. I mean, I understand how that all played out.
Right.
You're either gonna drop out on your own, or we're gonna 25th Amendment you, right? That he was given an ultimatum, That's just speculation on my point. I don't have any proof of that, but it's everything points to that suggestion. And for some, I just don't know how that would work. That would bring total and utter chaos, and it could be one of the things that needs to happen. I mean, I don't know. I mean, crazier things have happened.
When we say
Wow.
we're in unprecedented times, I think this is a good example of exactly what we're talking about, because this is one of these things. I mean, you already have turmoil. You already have Kamala, who is not in any measure a serious candidate. You look at the person she picked for VP. Not again, it couldn't be serious. There's no possible way that they would get people voting. And now Biden is like, he's waking up out of his stupor and like, hey, they stole it from me. I want it back.
Yeah, they jacked up his Adderall, and now he's having what are they? He's having a moment of clarity. This is wow. All I gotta say is wow. I mean, like I said, this is we have never been in this type of situation. That's exciting, but in the same effect, same vein, terrifying as well.
Yeah.
Because we've never been in this situation. I've talked about this before on my everybody's got these great ideas about what we need to do, but nobody alive currently today, doesn't matter how old you are, nobody alive has been through and had to deal with an out of control, tyrannical, deep state shadow type government. And other than back in the Revolutionary War when it wasn't shadow, they just said we're done playing your games. We want to be on our own. And so it's frightening in that sense, because the only way you're going to get through that is a 1776 2.0.
Well, yeah, and we can bring in the story about what's going on in the UK, and the way I look at that, I look at it as the immigrants have been activated. They've been riled up to think of the natives as being their enemy, and that's why they're going around beating them with machetes and sticks and boards and all kinds of stuff. And the police seem
because
to be
they don't
protecting the
they
migrants.
took away their guns.
Yeah, well, that's I was telling Phoebe this the other day. I had a friend who is from England, and a couple of years ago, he says, "Man, I'm seeing over there now."
I was going to say you might want to revisit that.
Yeah, just a little bit, just a little bit. We don't know,
I mean,
and so we have a lot more. We have 22 million of them here. That's the latest number we're hearing, and the difference here is that we kind of have an armed society. So I don't think we're going to sit back and watch our cities being torn to pieces by these people. I think we're going to put an end to it pretty quickly as civilians. We'll see if they do. They do play that game, and everybody's been saying it's going to happen here. It's going to happen here. We'll see.
Well, if you think about too, geographically, Europe, size-wise, is a lot smaller than the United States, right? As far as just the dense. I mean, you can one of the things my son was in the Air Force. He was at Air Station in Germany. He's like, you can just jump on a train. You can go to France. You can go all over the place in relatively short period of time.
Yep.
It takes me 3 days to drive from Florida to California.
And you're still in the same country.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it takes a whole day, one whole day of solid driving just to drive through Texas on I-10.
Yep.
I mean, but so a lot more Muslim, a lot more concentrated ethnic population has been coming into UK, Ireland, all these France, Germany, all these different places. Everybody's fleeing these the Middle Eastern war zones and whatever for whatever reason. But here in the United States, the immigrants that are coming across are from a plethora of nations and ethnicities and cultures. From all. I mean, I've heard numbers and upwards of over 100 different countries that people are coming across the southern border, illegal immigrants from all kinds of places. So it's not just the Muslim type. It's not just Mexicans or Latins. We got Africans, Chinese. I mean, all kinds of people. So that's what makes what's going on here in the United States somewhat different than the UK. I mean, they're just, and they're coddling. They're
Yeah.
It's insane. This new prime minister is a criminal, the way they're, putting people away. Some guys get like 20 years in prison for selling anti-immigration stickers. Some guy got multiple years in prison for memes, and then one of these in some probation. I mean, this is the situation, and we the people, thank goodness, have kept our powder dry and have been patient to this point. But there's going to come a point when what's Foghorn Leghorn, that whole cartoon. I stands all I can stands and I can't stands no more. There's going to be a tipping point. There is going to be a breaking point. At some point, somebody's going to do something stupid and pop off in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that's going to cause a world of hurt for a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, and I think everyone that I speak to is kind of on guard for that. They're waiting for, you can't have you be right on the edge of the boiling point without boiling over. At some point, you got to see that happening. And what will be the catalyst? We don't know. I mean, what would have happened if the assassination attempt had been successful? We wouldn't be a calm society today. I guarantee you that. Right?
No.
Yeah.
Right. There would be. It'd be. Yeah. I mean, it's, that's why it's so important with everything going on that we focus on our own internal and on our mind. That's why I believe months and months ago, God, Creator, told me, go ahead, start talking about mindset, because that's how we got to get through this thing. Is we got to have a strong mind, because the gaslighting and the propaganda and the lies and the BS, the next 90 days, if the election happens, is going to be insane. And we have to be able to withstand all the wiles of the enemy that they're going to be throwing at us. Like I said, the gaslighting is huge. I mean, I talk about it on the Monday show. I mean, just think about it. Go back in your mind. I'm sure people remember, it wasn't long ago that the mainstream media, people like MSNBC and CNN, were talking about how dismal the approval rating for Kamala was.
Yep.
How she's the most unpopular vice president in history. That was them talking, and now all of a sudden she's the best thing since sliced bread. She's going to save the democracy. She's going to save economy just by unburdening what has been.
Single-digit approval rating. Her approval rating was so low she didn't even approve of herself. Right? And all of a sudden now she's the queen, right? Yeah. The media got their talking
points. She
didn't
get one vote. She did not get one vote when she was running for president, allegedly, in the 2020, when she was on the docket of however many Democrats were out there, how many Luciferians were trying to take the power.
Yep.
She quit before the Iowa caucus. That's how popular she is. I'm going to turn this light on. I got a shadow on this side.
You're a little dark on that side. Yeah, but that's, when we're looking at this, it's like, this is why I think the whole thing is just a major distraction right now. I just don't think there's anything serious in any of it.
Yeah, that's all you can take. Yeah. Because if it is serious, I think we're worse off than what we thought we tolerated.
Well, Jill was quite the magician too. She was in Washington, D.C. and in Paris at the same time. At the Olympics. I mean, if people are not seeing it yet, and one of the things that our work really is, and I'm speaking to you, Bruce, I'm speaking to me, I'm speaking to everybody who's watching us on all the channels we're on today. Our work really right now is to continue to enlighten the unenlightened, right? As Lewis's wife always says, the drowsy. I think that's probably the right word for it. They're kind of not there. The ones that are way locked on the other side, they really believe the narrative to their core. There's no opening. But the ones that somewhere in the middle, they're, something's not right, they're not quite sure. Those are the ones we need to impact. Because when we get to that critical mass, it's going to be a lot easier to deal with this stuff. And I think that's what our work really is. And we've got to share, push these messages out, keep pushing them out, let more and more people know what's going on, because that's the truth of it is the more we wake up, the quicker this ends. Right? The charade has to end at some point. And you can't keep pulling the wool over the eyes of the people as they get more and more enlightened, which is why the censorship is heightened right now. And you're seeing a lot
It's
more censorship
it's
going on.
ramping up for
Yeah.
sure, 100%.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
we're this 90-day period. I think it is exactly 90 days today before the election. It's going to be very hot. It's going to be very difficult. Election, if there is an election, preface it with that. The days after, until we get to January 20th to the swearing in, are going to be absolute hell in this country. I just feel it. They're going to stop at nothing to stop him. And we saw Raskin yesterday talking about the pulling the 14th Amendment right at
well,
January 6th. We won't certify because he incited the Civil War. Wow.
right, wasn't that an older video though?
I don't know. Apparently it came
That
out
was,
yesterday.
well, it started rolling through around yesterday, but I thought he was talking about that. The video, excuse me, was back from February. But yeah, they've talked about, it's up to Congress to stop Trump if he ends up getting elected.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy. You talk about the craziness in our work, is to continue to help these people to a certain point, but it's becoming easier and easier. I'm trying to find something that I saw Tom McDonald posted on X. And if you're not following Tom, he's a great follow, man. He's got some good stuff.
Carol Maureen Friesen just sent. She's just doing what we said. She just shared to 6 chats. Thank you, Carol. And Dobie Dave is saying we're way past critical mass. Those who are not awake by now will never wake up. I don't know that we're quite at critical mass yet. I know some people feel like we're way past it, but you go around, talk to people, and the media is very powerful. It's a very powerful tool, and people still buy and still believe that it's real. So we're not quite there yet, I don't think.
Yep, I'm not seeing the video that I was looking for, but he was basically saying we don't need to dealing with these conspiracies anymore. I mean, we got to stop with the conspiracy type stuff, and all we got to do is show them what's going on. I mean, he posted 4 hours ago. He said Tim Walz driving drunk is way safer than Kamala Harris behind the wheel of America.
Oh, yeah, good point.
he's coming hard. Something happened to Tom McDonald after the assassination attempt. Because he was always kind of, middle of the road, a lot of his music was, I'm not left, I'm not right, I just want to be left alone type of situation. But the song You Missed, that he wrote in 2 hours, the beat and the video did like after the assassination attempt. He even says in that song, the left, I just thought they were a little bit, weird.
Yeah.
That's funny using that term that they used. But now he sees how evil they are. He said, thank God the left can't shoot, and thank God the right don't riot.
Yeah.
That's where we would be.
Well, that assassination attempt did wake a lot of people up, and I think to Friday's $2.9 trillion dollar loss in the stock market, plus another trillion on Monday loss. I think that's waking up a lot of people. I'm getting the phone calls. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What's going on? Is it going to get better? And people are asking those questions. So these things on the outset kind of look horrible and look terrible, but there's always a silver lining, right? So we've got to be able to look for that and say, okay, so is it helping our cause at all? And how is it helping our cause? And, we have to keep spreading the good word, and not to get, people riled up and upset about it. That's not the goal. The goal is just to get you informed. So the conversation sometimes, Bruce, is a little bit like, if you're way over here and I'm way over here, and you're not in the middle at all, you're really totally indoctrinated into the narrative, there's no point in having a conversation with you, because you're not going to convince me to come over to your side, and I'm not going to convince you to come over to my side. So if we have a conversation, it's going to be an argument. The person who's a little bit over here and saying, I'm not quite sure, what do you know? And they're actually asking those kinds of questions, that's the one you want to have the conversation with, because those people, not that we want to indoctrinate them, but we want to inform them. Because, I got to convert them into a Trump supporter, a Trump voter. Not really. That's not really the goal. The goal is they'll get there on their own. They just have to understand more of what's really happening out there.
Right. And that, like you said, they will get there on their own. And then that you can see that happening with so many other minorities, talking about black jobs, the African-American, type population is always historically, voted Democrat. And you ask some of these younger ones, why are you doing that? Well, it's because of my family, that we've always done it. That's the way we've always done it. And now, but they're starting to see, their eyes are being opened that that they're not important until it's election time.
Yep.
They get smoke blown up their butt, and then they get stabbed in the back at the same time. So they're starting to realize, and that's some of the good. That's with social media and the revival of since Elon took over X, even though there's still problems and issues. TikTok has been huge in waking those type of people up. So just recently, I mean, Hamilton did this thing in Atlanta. She was paying. I read she was allegedly paying homeless people to fill seats, and people were coming in to see these big name rappers and famous people. And as soon as they were done performing, they bailed the F out of there. When she got up to talk, there was nobody in the audience.
Wow.
That nobody cared. Nobody cares about. She's not, like you said, not a serious candidate, and they're just wasting time and money that could be spent solving some issues for veterans, homelessness. They could take all the money that they're wasting trying to, save the Democratic Party and put it towards Joe's moonshot of trying to. I mean, that would be better spent money than trying to gaslight everybody to think that Camel Toe and this and Tampon Tim from Minnesota are going to be any good for this country.
Yeah, well, you saw how much the Ukrainians said that Mitch McConnell put $86 million in his back pocket with the money we sent over there, the $113 billion we sent there. He made $86 million out of it. Does he care that you don't like him? Does he care that you're yelling at him? He's in the Senate for 6 years, 6 years more. He's going to retire. He's going to walk away from this, and he's going to be well off financially, and so will his family. They just don't care anymore. I think, you get to a point there probably where you realize you can't have an impact, so you might as well just, line your pockets as best you can. And, when you walk away from it, there's nothing you can do to fix it anyway.
Well, I mean, that is probably the root of the problem is we know these people are becoming multimillionaires on the backs of the taxpayer and the American people, the people that they're supposed to be working for.
Right.
There's no accountability. We know they're all freaking criminals. We know most of them are all treasonous and need to be at the end of a rope. So I've said, you want to end this thing a little kind of quicker, or kind of jerk the slack out of some of these politicians that may be on the fringe yet, that haven't gotten over into the dark side. Bring up some people, some of them on treason. I know 100%, like I know my own name, that there is evidence out there enough to bring treasonous charges, a charge of treason against some of these politicians, and then you erect a gallows on the White House lawn and you string them up. That's going to jerk the slack, because right now they know there's no accountability.
Yeah,
there's nothing. They throw this Cheadle chick, from the Secret Service under the bus for the assassination attempt, and then it comes out now, recently that they're, the cocaine thing, they're trying to hide all that, the cocaine in the White House. Now, there was DNA on it that they said, there was nothing, and they tried to hide and delete that. There's, we know the FBI. I trust Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell to babysit my grandchildren more than I trust the FBI and the CIA to do anything that's above board and for we the people.
At some point, you have to ask those questions, right? Cowboy Grub is saying here, she says, my mom is, yeah, that's not an isolated story at all.
So the real where the rubber meets the road is how far does this go? If we're
getting what we're getting literally crumbs, because you'll say, okay, so all this was going to happen on Sunday. Well, why didn't it happen on Sunday? Oh, then we find out that Russia has been sending large military transport planes into Iran, restocking their military with weapons and gear that they need, right? Then, okay, so why didn't it happen Monday then? Well, we don't know, but things are going on probably at hyper speed, but we just get a little piece here and a little piece here, and we try to put the puzzle together. We try to make a picture out of it, right?
But I even call, I even question who is the one and what's the source and the reliability? It says Russia is supplying Iran with stuff. That's the thing is our government, my entire life. I'm 56 years old. All through school, we've been taught. Reagan. I was a teenager back then during Cold War and Gorbachev and this whole thing. Russia's. To be a superpower, you have to have an enemy or an adversary that's equal or above you that you can hit against each other. Yeah. So I don't buy that the Russia's bad. I mean, have they done shit bad in the past? Yeah. Are they a full-blown republic, democracy type, fair? Probably not. But I believe that Putin is a populist in the sense where he wants Russia first, just like Trump wants America first. And what are the reports? Who's here has been in Russia and lived, there. Tucker says it's not as bad as we think it is. In our mind's eye, because of all the propaganda and bullshit, we think of Russia as some cold, snowy Siberian thing. People huddled up and standing in long lines to get a potato or a loaf of bread. That's the visualization, the mind's, the picture that goes on in the mind when you think of Russia and the oppression, Siberia, cold and blah blah. And the government just is beating down the people. That's not the way Russia is. It's actually quite nice over there, from what I understand.
Yeah, we got to take a ride over there at some point, Bruce.
I would love to.
Yeah,
we'll jump right in Esther. We can go. I'll cross over through Alaska. I think you could almost drive to Russia through Alaska.
Only during the winter, though.
Yeah. Put some chains on Esther, we'll be good to go.
Yep. Got a snowmobile and tow it along, we'll be all set. No problem. No problem.
Do they even make those tires with the spikes in them, Mm-hmm. Or do you strap those things on, Those the tires with the nails that coming out of it so you can get some traction? Yeah.
So we've been talking a lot about the stock market the past couple of days. Friday was a really bloodbath day, and so was Monday. And we saw worldwide markets over the weekend, or actually Sunday night into Monday in their time, also crash. And today, well, you know what? The Dow closed up 300 points. I just don't want people to feel great about this just yet, right? We always look at the trend lines, not the daily. So the daily could be up, it could be down, and feeling good. It's up 300 points. That might be good. It was actually up a little higher. It was up over 400 at some point today. But you look at it from that perspective, you've got to really look at what the trend is. And the trend generally is still pointing downward. It hasn't turned around yet.
Nope. Yeah. And I think to a lot of people were buying the dip, if you will, expecting things to go back to the way they were. So that's what people, they're profiteers looking, buying things on down. You buy low, you sell high. That's how they make money.
Yep.
So, when things are tanking, that's an opportunity for people with money, if you're buying into that type of system.
Well, I think a lot of people here on this call or on this show who watch are probably invested in 401ks, mutual funds, that kind of thing, retirement funds, all invested in the stock market. And, we want to talk a little bit more about, dealing with this emotionally, because you can look at your 401k and say, I'm okay, I'm going to retire, the numbers are good. And then all of a sudden you have a couple of days in a row where things drop dramatically and people are looking at their 401ks and go, wow, I am down 10,000, 20,000, some people down 30,000 or more. That's a hard emotional bump to deal with, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely it is. I mean, especially when you've worked your entire life and you're banking on that type of situation because you bought into, the lies and propaganda of this Babylonian system that we have. Yeah. And we've been crowing about this stuff for a few years now myself. I know many people have been talking about it much longer than I have. But I mean, you have to get out of that if you can. We've talked about the precious metals, I'm not giving anybody financial advice, but it just makes sense. The precious metals are a hedge against inflation. You've heard that your entire life. Stock markets go up and down, and the stock market is a long-term game. 401k type situations are a long-term game. So it's not, it's down today, but how long is it going to take to recoup? the trillions. I mean, when was the last big crash? What, 2008, nine or something? That was, and how long did it take for that to come back?
Yeah.
So if things do, if we stay within this system, things do, come back around. But you can't be tied to you can't allow external circumstances to control how you feel, your emotions. That's one of the things that I've been harping on for, and I've been trying to do it myself, learning. This is not, I'm not a guru. I don't got it all figured out. I'm just a squirrel trying to get a nut, like the Prince song has. The Prince song says, "Dearly beloved, we're gathered here together today, get through this thing called life." Right? Stuff that I don't know. I know stuff you don't know. We can crowdsource. We can work this out. And some of the things that I have found that have been helpful for me, because I am one of those people on an emotional roller coaster. You see things happen, and then boom, you're up and down. And you learn, why am I going on this roller coaster ride? Why is my emotions, so tied to things out here? And that's what they want. They want us tied into that stuff. And once I started learning and looking into some of the universal laws, right, the 11 or 12 different universal laws about, mindset, everything is mine, your thoughts, you're in charge. You're the one, you who are watching this are in charge of the thoughts that you grab on to. You might not be in charge of the ones that come across, because there's 10, I think I heard Lewis say, 10, 12, 15,000 times a day we're being inundated with messaging. And so we are in charge of which ones we choose to take a part of or take a hold of. And those thoughts can affect our emotions, and our emotions, whether up high, down, or your vibration, it's all tied to emotions. So your emotions will influence your actions, and your actions will influence your results. So if you want different results, you're going to have different actions, which is going to take some different emotions, some different thinking.
Yep.
So it's everything. Yep. Everything is tied. I have I spent a lot of time studying. I came this close to being a children's pastor in the 501c3 corporate church. And, once my eyes started open to that, I was like, nah, this ain't for me. And then now, since we're taught, to, research everything, trust nothing, research everything, I've been looking into a lot of different stuff, a lot of different philosophies, a lot of different ideas. Carl Jung, psychologist, some psychology stuff, the universal laws, the hermetic principles, even some, there's a stoicism is a philosophy, that talks about you can control what you can control. You got to be indifferent to those external circumstances, because that stuff is going to drive you down, and it's going to make you miserable. If most people, and I would say I'm not any different than anybody else, but I would say most people just want to be happy, want some peace, some happiness, right? So a little bit of security would be nice, but we just want to live the best life we can, and leave our legacy for our children better than we had it. That's what my mom wanted. I want my kids to have it better than what I had it. So that's the whole generational situation. And so if we can let these external circumstances determine, what goes on in our heart and our mind, then you're all messed up. You got anxiety, depression, all kinds of, nasty stuff that lowers your vibration, can affect your physiology, make you sick, physically ill, from the way that you think. I mean, that's a law, just like gravity, man.
Thank you for that. We're going to dig a little bit more into this, because I really want to cover this topic deeper, because it's so important. But before we do, I want to tell you about berberine. And for those of you who watched our show last Friday with Lance Shuttler, we talked a lot about managing blood sugar and how important that is, even for healthy people. Before you get diabetic or pre-diabetic, it's a good idea to manage blood sugar. And what you don't want are spikes. Right? You don't want to eat something and your blood sugar spikes, because that's where the damage gets done. And over time, it causes you to walk into a pattern of prediabetes and eventually diabetes. And you don't want to get into that pattern. So one thing that he shared with us is berberine. And this is the master metabolic switch. It supports the activation of longevity pathways. Guess what? and live a little longer. Berberine contains powerful plant compounds used to support the activation of longevity pathways, the channels of communication between cells in the body, such as AMPK. For those of you who know what AMPK is, it is the activator, the thing that helps you lose weight. Supports healthy blood sugar levels. Yep. Promotes a healthy metabolism. Yep. Supports healthy and diverse gut microbiome. Yep. Revitalizes energy levels and assists in healthy weight maintenance. There's the AMPK for you. So if you want to get your hands on some of this, I really suggest you try it. Screwbiggov.com/health. Screwbiggov.com/health is where you want to go.
I got my berberine.
Berberine. There you go. And the other one I've been using this one is the pine pollen tincture. Loving this so far. Just had it for a couple of days, and yeah, really good stuff. Yeah, a lot more there when you go to that website too. You'll find he's got 18 different products, and certainly worth taking a look around and see what makes sense for you. All right.
Yeah, Lance nutrition is amazing.
Yeah.
Check it.
He really cares about the quality, and he doesn't care about the money. He cares about the quality, and his company is based all around putting the best quality product into the bottles so that when he sells it, he can feel confident you're getting the best stuff out there. All right, so the challenge we're having right now, as I'm getting phone calls and emails from people, is it's not so much depression, it's not so much anger, because those two have been prevalent for a while. The frustration, when is it going to happen? When are we going to get there? When are we going to get there? But it's actually this pattern, this roller coaster of up and down emotion, up and down emotion, up and down emotion. You know, it looks horrible. It looks like everything is going bad. Then all of a sudden we get good news. Then we get all hopeful. And then nothing pans out. And then we go back in the other direction again, right? So it's living life on an emotional roller coaster. And the goal really for us should be to try to even that out a little bit. Don't get too excited, and at the same time, don't get too crushed when it doesn't happen. And they don't want that, right? So the goal here is to keep you down as much as possible. Why? Because you're easier to influence, you're easier to manipulate, right? The government will create the problem, make you feel absolutely horrible, and then eventually come along with a solution. You go, oh, thank God. I've been waiting for that my whole life. Well, the solution is worse than...
Already had that? No, folks, we're not even close.
Yeah.
We haven't even come close to that. I mean, if this is going, whatever is going to happen, and I'm not trying to, I'm just want you to be prepared and not be surprised when things go south, and be as prepared as you can be. But even those of us think we're awake, whatever event happens, I don't know what it's going to be. It's going to shake us to the core.
So we go back to that. How do you maintain an even keel? Well, number one, for some of you, the best solution is going to be to tune out the news, right? Just tune it out. If it's affecting you too much, don't listen to it. Come back to your present moment. Come back to your today. Come back to your right now, right? And then feel, okay, I feel my feet on the ground. Everything's okay. I've got my coffee this morning, right? I got a roof over my head. The electric bill's paid. I've got internet. I've got, friends, family, whatever I've got. I got dogs. I've got cats, whatever. And just be in that moment and enjoy and appreciate those things to get what we call your vibration up, get your energy level up a little bit, right? And it's hard sometimes because when you're depressed, that's a hard thing to do. Well, if you're really depressed, get angry. What? What are you talking about? Anger is actually a higher vibration than depression. Depression is helplessness, and anger is actually action. So you're moving up the emotional scale a little bit. You're going from depression, where you're helpless, you're not doing anything, to getting angry, throwing something across the room, punching a pillow, yelling, screaming, whatever it is, getting that out starts to activate you. And then after that, you get into what? You start looking for solutions. And that's where your empowerment comes from.
Yep.
Strange, but that's how it works.
Absolutely. Another way to put that is, it's in some of the philosophy type stuff is mindfulness, living in the moment, this moment now. Don't worry about what happened in the past. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. The past doesn't matter. Don't worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. Live in the right now. Like you said, turn things off, get outside, get connected to nature. Get your feet on the ground. A lot of people don't like the grounding. Get connected to nature, right? And then you start your day developing that attitude of gratitude. Being thankful. Looking for the good stuff. I have food. I have a roof over my head. I have my health. I can breathe. I have all these different things. I have the love of my wife, the love of my children, grandchildren. There's all kinds of fantastic things. Don't let worry about who's running the country, ruin your freaking day. Live in the right now, because we're worrying. A lot of people, not myself, a lot of people worrying about what's going to happen. When is it going to happen? Who's going to do this? It doesn't matter. I mean, it may never happen. I can't remember the quote now. The person who places, worries about stuff, or puts himself through misery unnecessarily before he needs to, is suffering unnecessarily. There's a quote, I can't remember it now. It's right on the tip of my tongue. But if worrying about things that you can't control is going to miss things that are happening right now.
Right.
If you're worrying about who's going to win this election, if there's going to be civil war, kids and your grandkids are growing up right in front of your eyes, you're missing stuff.
Yep.
So we got to dial it back a little bit and find out what's really important. When you go from living in a house and also renting, having a 2,500 square foot warehouse that I've rented for 12 years, and getting rid of all that stuff, and now everything that I own after 56 trips around the sun allegedly is in a 32-foot RV and a 10 by 10 storage. You really decide what is important. What's the stuff? It's just stuff.
Just stuff. Yeah. So if you look at the worry and the anxiety, that's looking at the future and painting a picture you don't want. It's called manifesting. Right. So we've got to get better at this. And what we need to do is paint a picture of what we do want, see the world the way you want to see it, even though it doesn't appear to be that way today. I think the reason that it continues to be not what we want is because that's what we all keep focusing on. So we've got to change that focus a little bit and say, okay, what do we really want? What do we want it to look like? Man, if you can't detach from it enough to be able to do that, then you need to shut off the television, turn off the internet, and just get away from it. Go outside for a couple of days, a couple of months, stay away from it. There's some people in here that are saying they haven't watched television in 2 or 3 years. I cut cable in 1995. I haven't had cable television since 1995. So, when I learned what it was about and learned about the programming and stuff, I wanted to get away from it. And, I was negatively programmed back then, and it took a few years till I started to come around and start to realize how deeply we had been programmed. Hard to know it because you're in it. But when you come out of it, it's a big difference. So the worry part, when you're looking at the worry, you just have anxiety about the future. In other words, in your mind, you've got a picture you don't want. And there's, like Bruce said, there are things you can control, and those are the ones you need to pay attention to. Things you can't control, not much you can do. So you say, hey, I want a better America. Okay, what can you control? What fingers do you have on what buttons? Use those, right? For a lot of us, it's going to be social media. For a lot of us, it's going to be writing an email, maybe calling a friend, maybe going out to coffee with someone, maybe holding a sign on a street corner, right? So there are things we can do and we should do because we want to be part of the solution, not part of the continuing of the problem. A lot of people go, oh, I want it to be all done. I want it to be all done. Well, who's going to do it? If it doesn't come to us, who's going to do it? How we're going to do it is we're going to start to get more and more positive rather than feeling defeated all the time, which is a lot of people that we run into. They feel defeated. They feel like it's never going to change. It's too big. Yeah, it appears that way. But remember, that's just an appearance, not necessarily the reality. The reality is we may actually be winning more than we know. We're just not seeing it yet. Does that mean we're not winning? No, not at all. So, Bruce, it comes up to all of us at the end of the day, no matter what we do. There's no savior per se. I mean, even if you think about it from that perspective, oh, Donald Trump gets back in power. They decide to reverse the 2020 election. They put him back in power. Okay. How's he going to fix everything? Everything. Right. It's going to take generations to fix.
Yeah. It's taken generations to get us in this mess that we're in. And that's some of the fallacy of the, and some people interpret things wrong or whatever. Who knows what their motives are? But we're not going to flip a switch to wake up and everything's going to be puppy dogs and rainbows.
Right.
It's taken us, a lot of people, centuries to get into this situation where we have outsourced our own self-governance for so long that it's going to take a long time. And there's the tentacles of this deep state, Luciferian evil MFers. Their tentacles run deep, and it's going to take a while to get rid of all of it. Unless you just Sodom and Gomorrah the thing and start over.
Yeah. Well, people ask, it's like, well, I don't have any friends. I'm lonely. I'm disconnected. And then the question that I always ask them is like, how are you feeling right now? Oh, depressed, sad. That's why you don't have any friends. Right? It starts with us. We've got to work on us because that's where we have the power. That's where we have the control. So start focusing on things that bring you joy. Could be the simplest little thing. Oh, my cat's in the room. Hey, cat, how you doing? Right? Oh, wow, that brings me joy. Or look at the flowers outside. Oh, look, it's a nice day. It's 100 degrees. Wow, that's beautiful. I love 100-degree weather, right? Or, whatever it is, you start raising your vibration up. Positive energy is, keyword, attractive. When you're happy, when you're going out there and you're smiling, what the hell's Bruce up to? What's making him so happy? I got to go find out, right? And that's what people do. They're attracted to people who manage your energy. And I mentioned this the other day. I work hard at that. People say, Rob, you're always positive. No, not always. It's a battle for me some days, but I work on it. Every single day I work on it constantly to keep my vibration, my energy as high as possible. When people meet me, they love to come over and give me a hug, and I love to hug everyone, without discrimination. I hug everyone. I don't care. And it's because they want to be around that energy. So you work on your energy, you get your vibration up, and you're going to be like Bruce. When he walks into a room, they come swarming. Right?
That's it. Yeah, that's the bottom line. If we can, that you're going to red pill a lot more people by being positive and having a great outlook and having a great mindset when everything else is burning around you, and you're like, hey man, things are fantastic. But everybody asks me, well, hey, how you doing? I'm fantastic, man. And they're like, what? Why are you? Some of them,
now they want to know why.
You can almost, yeah, they're like, what? What's wrong with you? Why? What are you doing? Why are you fantastic? Because everything is shit in my world.
Yeah. Well, give me what you're on. What are you drinking, Bruce? I want some of that. That's what they ask.
I'm on berberine. I take my Neumi, lots of water, and caffeine. Caffeine and patriotism. That's how we win this thing, man.
Hey, I saw one of your puppies back there. What are you feeding that dog?
We got some kibble. We got and this is good kibble. This is stuff that's doesn't have any fillers, no sugars. It's all non-GMO stuff.
Why don't you taste it for us? See if it's any good. No.
But the canned stuff is really good.
Ah, you know, huh?
Yeah, that stuff's that stuff's a little hard on the denture. I like the softer stuff. It's easier on my teeth. But anyway, yeah, that's. I mean, you can see him. Our cookie, 17 years old in February. She'll be 18.
Wow.
A chug, and there was a while back there when we were on the Truth Tour too. My kids, we had what's the word I'm looking for? Custody. We shared custody of my dog because we were on the road with the Truth Tour. And so, and mom's going to be pissed because this thing was like barely getting around, bad hips, whatever. So we switched over, got the Pet Club stuff, the Pet Club 247. Just tried it out. Met actually Kurt and they're gonna hate me for forgetting the name. Yeah, Kristen and Kurt from Las Vegas. Met them in San Diego. And then once I learned about that stuff, did my own research, I was like, yeah, we'll try it out. Day and night difference. My dog is like a puppy. We have a 2-year-old Applehead Chihuahua, a little black one we call Rue. The older one is Cookie. But they're running around playing with each other, The only thing that Cookie can't do right now is jump up onto the up the stairs into the RV. We still have to carry her, but she tries. But a year ago she wouldn't try. So this stuff is fantastic and it works great. And I'm losing some signal because I can see myself freezing up. But you can go to the website. I'm sure Robin will put it on the screen if you can hear me.
Yep.
Healthy Switch Pet Club 247. healthyswitch.petclub247.com. Go there and do your research. There's tons of information. If you're into all the sciencey stuff, there's stuff there for you. If you're into video testimonials from not just me, but people all over the country, go check this stuff out and try it out. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is it doesn't work for you and you're just get some good food for your dog. But it's changed our dog's life and we wouldn't do anything different. And then plus they got stuff for people too. We can even talk about that another time.
Yep, absolutely.
But that mushroom,
really
Coriolus
good stuff for people. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Bruce. So
similar story with your cat, right?
Yeah, they work wonders for the cat, and the cat is doing really well. Begs for it every morning. Wakes me up at 6:30. Time to eat. I'm like, but I'm sleeping here. No, time to eat. With cats, they're not the man's best friend. You're staff to them. You know how that works, right? You've got dogs, not cats. So it's a little bit different there. All right. So some of the comments going on in the chat room are kind of interesting. People have been saying they've been dropping their mainstream media too. It's been years for some. Some are dropping Netflix. Good for you. A lot of indoctrination going on there as well. And, we are the result of everything we consume, right? And we're the result of, if you look at the 5 people in your life you spend the most time with, they're going to be the most similar to you. So if you spend your time with a lot of people who are down all the time, you're going to find it hard to be positive. Now, if you do the opposite, your 5 people you spend the most time with are more positive than you, what's going to happen? You're going to become more positive as well. Same thing happens in finance, by the way. If you want to be more successful, surround yourself with people who are successful. Don't surround yourself with the people you're earning the same thing you're earning and struggling in the same way you're struggling. You're never going to get out of that. You need to be around people with, who've taken a step or 2 or 5 or 10 steps ahead of you. Makes a big difference. So the energy is the same thing. So when you look at, who are the people that I'm spending my time with, pay attention to that, because we are a product of that. That does impact us. So does the media we consume. So do the shows we consume. So do the articles we read or the texts we read, right? And all of that stuff. So you've got to be the guardian of your mind. And Jim Rohn always talked about this too. Be very careful what you let in, because it impacts you, whether you realize it or not. It impacts you.
Absolutely, it does. Mindset is everything. Everything is mind. You read some good stuff. There's a new book out. Our friend Mark Atwood has a new book. This is he's not even paying me to promote this, but a new book by Abby Wynn and Mark Atwood, Weapons of Mass Protection, talking about practical tools for spiritual warfare. Brand new book. They just came out not long ago.
Yeah, we had Mark on the show not that long ago. He's talking about that. It's really, really good idea to put a book out like that right at this time, especially because it is a spiritual war in many ways. And what we're talking about, I call it spiritual, but it's also emotional, right? So you might say, okay, it's a spiritual war that leads people into religion and Muslims and Christians, and that's not necessarily where it is. It's an emotional war. They want to keep us off balance. They want to keep us sad. They want to keep us depressed so that we are repressed and we're easier to manipulate, and we'll buy into their shenanigans much easier. The worst thing for the cabal guys, the worst possible thing, is an empowered society. So if you're self-empowered, if you're managing your own mood and you're managing your own way of looking at things and you're finding that you're happy, first of all, the benefits are amazing. Beside from making a lot of new friends, it's also good for your health. Because your mind, right? If you say, "Hey, I'm depressed," that message goes through the whole body, and all the cells are depressed too. Well, we're depressed today, okay? And they feel it, truthfully. So you get your energy up, you get your vibration up, you start feeling better, and all of a sudden your health also improves. Why? What a great side effect that is. Make new friends. Wow, what a great side effect that is. Starts to ripple out because now the people who are hanging out with you, they also start to vibrate because they're in your vicinity. They start to raise their vibration up a little bit. That ripples out. All of a sudden, you got pockets of people doing that, and that ripples out. You get more and more, and all of a sudden, we get to a point where this is all over. Not hard to figure out.
No.
Right?
Super simple.
Yep.
But it's way easy to talk about, much harder to do.
Yeah.
It's this daily struggle, sometimes minute by minute struggle. To keep everything, to be indifferent, not allow external circumstances to affect my internal condition.
Yep.
But the more that I do it, I am a perfect example of the health situation. I've changed my mindset and attitude. 2018, I was done, man. I wouldn't say I was suicidal because I'm too prideful for that. My wife jokes around all the time. So that song, "You're Too Vain"? Yeah, that was written about me. But, I was done. I was ready to cash in my chips, man. I was just over it. And the medical thing had beaten me out. My health was in the crapper. And I finally said, F it. And I started doing my research, became my own best advocate, started changing my mind, doing things. Now I feel better than I have almost ever. And it's fantastic. And I'm only getting better. I'm aging in reverse.
And people will recognize that too. They'll start seeing it, when they start going in that direction. So I want a show of hands of all the people who are watching. I know the audience is not massive today. How would you like if Bruce and I were to do a live Zoom call to help you with this kind of thing? Because I think one of the challenges is that people feel isolated, and we can talk about what to do minute by minute when these emotions creep in, because they do. You read something and all of a sudden you're shocked, and you may not have a tool. But what if we helped you with some tools? What if we brought you up and had you on the hot seat for a little bit and helped walk you through that? How many of you would like to do that? And I haven't enrolled Bruce yet on it, but I assume he'd be willing to do something like that. So just put in chat if you'd like that. Just give us a thumbs up, say yes, or whatever, and we'll keep an eye on the chat room here for a minute and see if it's something you'd like to do. Because I think we all need that. I really do believe we need to have these pockets of positivity that we could tap into, more than just the monologue of the show.
Fantastic idea.
Bruce's, your internet's crapping out. I wonder if everyone's coming home now and they're all turning on their Netflix.
Then we talk about principles. I'm unstable.
Yeah.
I almost got no bars. Anyway, but we if you can hear me, we talk about all these principles and ideas, but there are practical, great steps, informational, step-by-step things you can actually do to get through the situation. So, I'm all in favor of that. And before we lose connection altogether, we should probably put a clothespin.
Yeah. I'm just looking at Edward, and he says, is the copay cheaper than buying a therapist for our event? Yes.
That's only $1 billion.
Yep. Yes. All right. So it's that time of day over by Bruce, 7:12 in the evening, where people come home and they're all on the Wi-Fi and his connection's getting a little choppy there. We apologize for the technical issues. You're going to have to get that Starlink set up, I think, Bruce. That's going to be the answer for you. You can get off of it.
I know.
Yeah. Any last words before we wrap for the day?
I just think you keep looking up. Keep watching. Being aware of what's going on, but not allowing it to affect you, and then start preparing, getting yourself ready in case of whatever situation. There's tons of information out there, what you can do to prepare for any potential, bad shit that might happen. But, all we can do is stay connected to our creator, stay connected to ourselves, and then connect to other people. Those are the three connections I talk about all the time. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Everything is going to be fantastic, regardless of what happens.
Looks like we have to do this, Bruce. I'm getting a lot of yeses in the chat room there.
All right. I'm down, man. I'm in.
We'll set a time. We'll let everybody know. If you're not on our mailing list, come over to renegademedia.tv and just sign up so you're on the mailing list, and we'll let you know via email. And you can also follow Bruce and I on Telegram. Bruce is at Unpopular Viewpoint Chat, right? Chat room?
Yep.
Okay. And I'm at Renegade Media on Telegram. And you can follow both of us also on X. Is it Bruce Poppy 1776?
That's correct.
Bruce Poppy 1776 on X, and with me it's just my name, Robert Imbrielli, and you'll find us there. And we're posting a lot of stuff on all these channels, so you can keep up with us. You can direct message us, and we want to be open and available to you. We don't want to be just the people giving you a monologue and good luck, people. And we want to bring more happiness into your life if we can.
Absolutely. Or you can email me too, Bruce Poppy, Poppy at unpopularviewpoint.com. Send me an email, Bruce Poppy at unpopularviewpoint.com.
Awesome. Bruce, thank you so much. Fun to have you here. Thank you everyone for watching. We love all of you, and we'll see you back